A while back, how do I start by saying a while back? Okay. Hi, man. I want to talk about something. I want to talk about a friend of mine. Your Lord in heaven. Hi there. Some years back, I thought I would earn some extra money by some kind of a side gig. I thought I would diversify into something slightly creative where I had some skill and try and make myself some extra money. And what I thought was, I will become a photographer. I have a natural innate skill in photography, I told myself. And so if I get out there and I start taking photographs, it won't be long before the big organizations start to call me, the ad agencies, to shoot billboards and to shoot print ads for magazines and things. So I went out and I started to take photos. Created a little gallery on the internet because I could do websites, and got a gig with a development organization trying to do some reduction of poverty somewhere out in the bush. And around about that time, thinking I knew a lot about how you succeed in life, because I now had two different businesses that brought in income. I had a friend named Peter, and he came up and said he's going to start an apparel company. Apparel. He's going to start an apparel company. Peter. And yeah, I remember telling him it's impossible. He's not going to get anywhere, and that's just plain stupid. I mean, who's going to buy T-shirts and apparel from him, and why? And what about startup costs and so on? Well, the first thing he did was find a place to source really high quality T-shirts. And then he got a designer or two to work with him on piecemeal design. And working out of his house, they designed funky T-shirts with sort of Africanish themes. And yeah, and it started to take off, and people started to like. And he was selling them really premium. They were going at about $10, which is 1,000 shillings, $10. But this is quite a while back, so it was expensive for a T-shirt, and people were buying, and he was doing okay. He quit his day job to run this full time, and then later on he got his wife to quit her day job so that she could run it. And I think he had two designers full time, and he got a bunch of partners, and they invested money, and he started getting outlets across the city to retail his T-shirts. It was quite successful while it ran. And so, yeah, why I talked about photography is because finally I had to eat my heart, eat my words, and the rest of it I said, Peter, yeah, you've managed, you've succeeded, this is a success. And he called me over, and he needed to do a photo shoot for his a fledgling company, and I went and did all the first set of photos. We went to his house and we took all these photos, some outside, some inside. He got some pretty girls to agree to model the T-shirts. I got a friend of mine, a pretty girl I knew, and told her, yeah, come model. She since went on to a great modeling career, cause but I was so sure this guy couldn't possibly make this happen, and he did. And how do you do that? How does a guy like that do that? How do entrepreneurs take a fantasy, just a fantasy, and turn it into a business? Because everybody's got fantasies, and most people have these big ideas in their heads. How do some people just turn these ideas into businesses? Right? I read something on the internet, on Twitter. Some guy said, you need to be open-minded to have creative ideas, but you need to be closed-minded to execute them. Yeah, maybe that's the secret. Close your mind. And yeah, I guess he's got some idea there. I think there's a right brain, left brain issue at hand. You've got your right brain, which does all the fantasizing and all the imagining, but it's not particularly good at practicality, I guess. And then you've got your left brain, and your left brain is good at maths and reasoning and being practical and logistics, but not so good at fantasy, I guess, and imagination. And so probably what we do when we shut our mind is we're just shutting down the imaginative part, having taken an idea from it and saying we're going to make this a reality. And everybody's pretty good at logistics. I think we're probably much better at logistics than we are at courage. When we lived out in the field and there was a lot more risk, whatever that was, when we lived out in the savannah, in the plains, and we had to hunt for a living, we were a lot bolder, and now we've become a little bit scared. And I think it's not that most of these things can't happen, it's just that you put your mind to something and all the logistics start to kick in, and you know what you need to do. And you know what? There you are on the edge of a cliff. You've got your idea. It's plausible. It could happen. You've given it thought, and you've got your logistics in your mind. You know what you need to do next, and what you need to do after that, and what you need to do after that. And you're standing on the edge of the cliff, and the only reason you don't do it is because you now have everything to make your dream come true. And you're just afraid. What if I did it? What if I did it? What am I saying? I'm saying that my friend Peter was right and I was wrong. He could start an apparel company. Go figure.